Hey y'all, welcome to or welcome back to our very bookish channel. My name's Amanda. My friend Jen and I run this channel together. You'll be seeing her in a few minutes. And in today's video, we are reading one of our most anticipated books. So every other month, Jen and I put out most anticipated releases for the 2 upcoming months. And then every other month between that one, we like to read some of the books that we have on our most anticipated list. And one way we decide what book we read is we draw out of a TBR jar. And in my January TBR video, I picked What Have You Done by Shari Lapena from my TBR jar. I'm kind of excited. I really, to be honest, I'm not exactly in the mood for a thriller. I just read Lightfall, which is a wonderful, wonderful book by Ed Crocker. It's his fantasy debut novel, and I filmed an ARC review for it. So if you like fantasy, go check that out. I'm really more in the mood for a fantasy book right now, so I'm kind of not in the mood for a thriller, but I've heard really good things about Shari Lapena. I know Jen read one of her books and liked it, so I'm hoping that the book will just suck me right in and I will enjoy it, even though it's not exactly fitting the mood I'm in right now.
Hey guys, I'm about to start our most anticipated TBR jar read, and I had picked, if you watched our January TBR video, I had picked Lilith by Rickstad. I didn't know how I wanted to get this. I thought it was out in paperback, but it doesn't come out until I want to say March or April. So I decided that I'm going to go to the library to get it. I haven't been to the library in a while, and I'm going to take you guys along with me. I'm also going to stop for a couple errands. I have to go to Target. The Target I go to doesn't have the best book section. I feel like it often looks like it's been shopped. It just ends up looking really messy and really shopped. Hopefully it looks a little better today, and people have been showing on TikTok that some Targets are putting out Onyx Storm early. I don't think I'm gonna find that. I don't think it's as many Targets as it may seem. And I also feel like the publisher probably have seen the viral videos and maybe crack down on Target to make sure that's not happening, because that's not fair to everyone who really wants to get the book and have been waiting for their order very patiently, impatiently, whatever you want to say. I'm going to a midnight release on Monday night at Barnes & Noble, and stay tuned if you are a Fourth Wing fan. We are going to be doing a vlog, so you can see all of the great video for that. But I am going to go to the library, do some errands. I'm going to take you along with me, so here we go. As you saw, I picked up my book, Lilith, at the library, and I did peruse a little bit. I picked something else up, but me and Amanda were talking about doing a book haul video, and I had the idea to do kind of a mixed portion book haul video because I have some books that I did purchase recently. I have another book I got at the library. I have a couple ARCs, and I got a brand new package today that I'm pretty sure is an ARC. So I was going to put that together, and I'm sure that one will be out before you see this one. So you can always check it out on our page of a book haul video. We didn't go too crazy buying a bunch of books, but it's a lot of different new books that we have welcomed into our libraries. So for this one, I am going to start it. I had forgotten what it was about. I just remember there was some kind of tragedy involving a woman's child. She kind of goes vigilante or something like that was what I remember reading about this book. But a couple things on the back, I wanted to read the blurbs that are on the back because I know they always hype the books up. I had done a video last year because infamously I feel some of the blurbs on here aren't always accurate. I know it's always opinion, not everyone agrees on books, but there was a book last year that I read around the same time in January called Anna O, and some of my favorite authors were blurbed on it, and I really didn't like that book. I did not think it lived up to the hype on the book. I'm taking this with a grain of salt, just so you know. The ones that caught my eye is there's one from Jamal Mayfield, Incredible Lilith is a clarion call that challenges us to face uncomfortable truths. The power of this fiery novel endures long after the last page is turned. And then another author named John Land, and I hadn't heard of either of these authors, so I don't know how much this means from coming from them. But there's another one that says it's a bracing story layered with emotional resonance and deep understanding of the human condition. Eric Rickstad has fashioned a thriller of rare depth and angst, confronting us with the notion of how far we should go to do what's right, even if it's wrong. Lilith will stay with you long after the final page is flipped, one of those rare books that remind us why we love to read. And I thought that one especially, those words for any book would make me want to look at it. I hope that it lives up to the hype, so I'm going to start this today, and it is really cold outside. It's one of the reasons why normally when I go to the library, I film when I get to the car and talk about it. But it was freezing outside. I'm most likely going to start a fire and just sit and read a bunch. I'm off today and tomorrow, which feels like a mini vacation, and I have nothing but plans of reading and doing some small chores. So that feels like heaven to me, especially with how cold it is outside. And next week it's getting even colder. It's going to be in the negative temps. It's going to feel like we're at the North Pole or Canada, and I am not looking forward to it. And it's the night of the release party for Onyx Storm that I am going, and it's going to be freezing. So hopefully that isn't going to mar that evening. But alas, I am going to dive into this. I will be back with more thoughts.
All right, y'all, I have a reading update for you. I borrowed the book from Libby. So I am reading on my tablet, and I am on chapter 22 currently, which is page 105 of 254. So I don't know, a little more than a third of the way through, almost a half of the way through, and I really got sucked in. I read 105 pages yesterday. I started reading and I just couldn't put the book down. So even though I wasn't exactly in the mood to read a thriller, I am getting very interested and sucked into this book. The setting is a very small town in Vermont, and you are following some high school kids, and one of the high school kids ends up being found murdered, and you're unraveling this mystery of what happened to this high school girl. And it's very interesting. You're getting multiple points of view, which don't usually work for me in thrillers, but in this novel it's working. I don't know if it's because all the characters are so very different. It's just very fast and easy for me to tell who I'm reading and get back into that mindset of that person, or if it's Shari Lapena's writing, but I'm really not minding it in this thriller. It's actually fitting this book well, and I'm kind of liking the different points of views while you're kind of discovering what has happened to this young woman. And there's even a point of view of the young woman that was murdered, of her ghost. She's kind of hanging around. Her spirit, her ghost, her essence is still hanging around, and you're getting the point of view from her. Unfortunately for me, she doesn't remember what happened to her and who killed her, and she's kind of hasn't figured out she's exactly dead yet. So it opens up with a scene where she is looking down on her dead body, like she's looking down on herself thinking that looks weird, but it hasn't quite dawned on her what has happened, and she doesn't remember anything about what happened up to that point where she died. So that's been very cool, very interesting, very different point of view. You're also following one of the high school kids that she knew, one of her friends. He wants to be a writer, and you're getting little journal entries that he is writing about as well. So I find that very interesting. I do like mixed media books. I think it keeps things interesting, keeps things going. It keeps your interest involved. So I am liking getting those points of views that are a little bit different than you would typically find in a psychological thriller, and I'm enjoying the writing, and I am actually enjoying the story so far. I'm still more in the mood to read fantasy, but this book has sucked me right in, and I'm just skipping along here, and I'm gonna get some more reading done today, and I will probably have another update for you tomorrow.
All right, I'm only 20 pages into Lilith, and I'm already debating maybe I should DNF it because it's about school shootings, and I don't know how much I want to read about that. I have said in other videos, it's hard for me to read books that have violence or that are traumatic for children. And though I know it's fiction, school shootings happen often. And I think that's the point of the book. I think there's a message that they're going to end up trying to say with this book. And so I'm going to let it go a little bit and give it a chance, because I think it's like 25 pages in. The premise of this book, now that I can see, is she's a teacher, and her son is also in the school where she teaches, and a school shooting happens. Her son actually, before school that morning, has a icky feeling. He says he doesn't want to go to school, and she's like reminiscing about how she also tried to get out of school when she was younger because she didn't want to go to school, and how she faked sick. And then this school shooting happens. I don't know what she's going to do, like the vigilante thing. I don't know if that means she's going to try and go after the shooter. I don't know what's going to happen with the shooter. Usually with these school shootings, a large amount of the shooters end up either killing themselves or the police end up killing them. So I'm not sure it's going to happen, but I'm going to try to push forward and see how I feel about it, and I'll be back with more thoughts. I just started a fire. It is not roaring yet, but I'm going to do some reading, and I'll show you the fire as soon as it starts roaring. Maybe not roaring necessarily, but it's coming along. All right, definitely on the roaring side now. I will give you guys an update in a minute for the book, not the fire.
Hey guys, I have a reading update for y'all. I'm on chapter 47, which is page 209 of 254. So I'm closing in on the end of this book, and I really like how this book was structured. I really like how there's multiple suspects in this book. But you don't know who actually has killed this woman. There are people in the stories, there are secrets getting uncovered because of this murder that are rocking this town. And although the secrets about these men and potentially women, I'm not going to give anything away here, but the secrets about these people, although they are very bad people, you don't know if they're actually the one that murdered this girl. So that's been very interesting. I love how this one murder has uncovered all of these other little secrets. And they're not even necessarily directly related to the murder. It's just some secrets have been uncovered, and then there's some suspects because of the secrets. So you don't know who has murdered this young girl yet, but I feel it's closing down. The book's closing down. I'm gonna find out real soon. I'm real excited. I do recommend this so far. I recommend this as a thriller. Obviously, I haven't got to the end yet, but I really like the complexity of the story. I really like all the facets of the bad secrets coming out about these characters, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I wouldn't say this book is like psychological twisty as like a Frida book where every chapter just ends on a cliffhanger and you got to keep going. It's not really that kind of a story, but you're still sucked in, you're still interested, and you're trying to solve all these other little mysteries around this murder, and I really like that. I really like that part of the book, so really enjoying it so far, and I'm gonna finish the last 50-ish pages of these books, and I will check back in with you with final thoughts.
So I continued on. I don't think I'm going to DNF, only because it's really short chapters, and as much as I don't want to read about gun violence or school shootings and how that obviously is traumatizing for all the kids involved for that, this seems centered on the mother's grief, how she's handling and processing that grief, and the choices that she's making, which I don't know if I would say are the best choices. I'm very, I guess surprised is the word I would use, that she makes the choice that she does. And obviously I can't say, if anyone wants to read this, I don't want to ruin it and say the choice that she makes. And when I said vigilante, and I didn't know what that meant, it's very clear now. She makes some choices to, I don't know if I want to say revenge, like to process everything she's going through and the anger that she feels. And it's just weird how, I don't know, how what she does and how she's doing it. So I'm in book 2. It's set up where it's like book 1, then book 2, and I'm assuming there's a book 3, maybe book 4. I am just over 100 pages. It's very short chapters, and there's some chapters that it's just like free thinking, or I don't know how to say it. It's her thoughts, and the way it's on the page, it goes fast because let me try and show you. So it looks like that, and I'll do it real quick so you don't see the actual words. So that's my update. I will let you guys know another update once I have read more, and I'll be back.
All right, y'all, I just finished What Have You Done by Shari Lapena, and it is a good book. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna say that I predicted the ending, because I didn't know until it was revealed. I wasn't sure who the killer was. I did have my suspicions around it, but so I wasn't surprised, but I also wasn't sure, and the revelation is still a little bit like when you read it. So very good book. I really do like this style of thriller. I like her writing. I think I'm gonna read more Shari Lapena in the future. Right now, like I had mentioned, I'm more of in like a fantasy dragon mood. But when I get into wanting to read mysteries, I think I'm definitely gonna pick up another Shari Lapena book, because I really enjoyed this one. And that's all that I have to say about it right now. I'm still kind of, processing the book since I just finished it. But overall, great impression. Good impression for a first Shari Lapena book, and we'll see what comes. We'll see which other books that I want to read. I think Jen's read 2 Shari Lapena books, so I'll have to talk with her a little bit about the second one that she read to see how it compares to this one. But yeah, I would be interested in reading more of her books that she comes out with.
So I finished. I obviously didn't record anymore. I felt like if I was going to record, I would end up just kind of complaining or not saying anything I feel worth recording because I don't know how much I liked it. I ended up finishing it. I don't know if I should have DNF'd it because I didn't think it was that bad. I don't feel like it's a 1 or 2 star book. I felt that I know there's a lot to be said politically and just, I don't even know what other word to say regarding all of the violence that happens with school shootings. And I don't even want to get into any of that. Reading for me is mainly a way to escape and to experience great writing and be able to see other worlds and see other opinions. But when it gets to be too political or talking about real life events, that to me is a little tricky. And I'm not always a fan of reading those things because I could just look at the news or look at things online, and I'm trying to avoid those things. So I think a lot of that emotion is going into why I wasn't a big fan of this book. I was trying to focus on this woman who is the main character, her as a mother, her emotions around what happened, not just her as a educator and teacher in America, but also her son and the violence and aftermath that happens in these school shootings. I feel Jodi Picoult did the same subject, and I feel she did it very well. Maybe because I've already read a book with this subject, I also wasn't as in the mood for this. I'm forgetting the name of Jodi's book right now, but I can put it on the screen. It was seen from teenagers' perspective, and I think you get some of the parents or educators' perspective in there. But Jodi does a really good job of showing each of the perspectives in any of the controversial subjects that she talks about. And it's something that I very much admire because it's not an opinion getting shoved down your throat. And I'm not saying per se that there was an opinion shoved down your throat, but you really only got one opinion in this. And sometimes that's just rougher for me to read. That's just my preference, I guess, is the way to put that. And I definitely didn't want to do videos talking about politics or what I feel about either guns or violence. Obviously, anything with kids and violence, no matter. There was a John Mars book that I read last year, and it was about someone that was murdering children. And those are just really hard for me because I don't want to read or think about children being murdered. Even if it's something that's happening, it's just harder to wrap your head around because there's not much I can really do about it. And I don't want to dwell on something like that. So that was also probably funneling into my opinions on this book. I do think it was written well, but another thing that was bothering me a little bit is that this, and I know it happens all the time, it's not like this is the only time, but there was a man writing for the women's perspective. And especially in some of what he was talking about with her feelings and what she was going through, she does talk about, or he does talk a lot about the polar opposites in a lot of ways of men versus women in terms of the violence in America, because a lot of the shootings are done by men. But I just thought it was weird that he talks about it in here with his character and some of the things that happen. And I don't want to say because it's basically giving away a big plot point. So the long and the short of it is, I don't know how much I really enjoyed this. I didn't DNF it. I'm still on the fence if I should have or not. But it only took me a couple days because it wasn't a long book, and I showed you guys the chapters. It just went really fast. it's just 250 pages, 230 pages, and then a lot of the pages were just not a lot of words, so it's not like it took that much time out of my reading time. I feel like the TBR jar isn't giving me the best picks, and I know next month we're going to be doing most anticipated for March and April, but the next time I pick out of the jar, I feel like I'm going to be very leery because I haven't been getting the best choices out of that jar. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for next month. As I said, we have the most anticipated for February, March, and me and Amanda were just talking today because we really want to do, there's a lot of books coming out this year that we are looking forward to. Obviously, in a couple days from when I am recording this, we will be getting Onyx Storm, which is fantastic. And there's so many books that are coming out this year. I just found out about one that made me think of the idea of we should do like a top 10 or 20 of the books that we're looking forward to in 2025. And as always, thank you for watching, and until next time.